All right, well, I guess we're just going to get started. Drummers and Nate. No, so we're going to start. So if we can all rise, please. We're going to have Richard Rondo say the opening prayer.
Boy, we got a good-looking group here. It's nice to see everybody come here. Today is truly a celebration today. We're celebrating the book that's coming out, written by Mr. Nicholas Vrooman. The Whole Country Was One Road, The Little Shell Tribes America. So this is an exciting day. Typically, this prayer is usually set aside for an elder. I don't think I qualify quite yet. I hope. My wife tells me different. But our drummer's a little late. Typically we would start with a flag song, but we're going to go ahead and I'll do a Ojibwe prayer because based on Little Shell's history in the last 3 years, I think it applies. And then I'll sing a quick song after that, so if you'll be patient for a minute or two. Okay, bear with me. Excuse me. This is a Ojibwe prayer, and I think you guys will like it. Grandfather, look at our brokenness. We know that in all creation, only the human family has strayed from the sacred way. We know that we are the ones who are divided, and we are the ones who must come back together. To walk in the sacred way, Grandfather, Sacred One. Teach us love, compassion, and honor that we may heal the earth and heal each other. And I think the fact that this book is coming out today, and we're going to be able to take a look at it, Curtis said, it's a beginning for the Little Shell to come back together. And we have our drummer that's here. So, who are our veterans? Mr. Al Wiseman here. Larry Soys. Can I just have you step up, please? Okay, what we're going to have to do, we're going to have Kyle Spearson sing the flag song, and we honor our veterans, the people that have fought in wars and fought for the rights that we have here today. Both our tribal veterans for the Little Shell Tribe of Chippewa Indians and the United States of America. So we honor Mr. Larry Solis and Mr. Al Wiseman as veterans. Thank you. Kyle?
Okay, so we can all be seated. We're going to go ahead and get started with our regularly scheduled quarterly meeting. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to go through our quarterly meeting first, and then we will take a short break for lunch, and then go ahead with the signing and Nicholas. So with that, I'd like to call the meeting to order and have Secretary do roll call.
Dawn Davis. Colleen Hill. Karen Severson.
Present.
Sharon Gray.
Present.
Richard Pronto.
Present here, ma'am.
Leona Keenenberger. Present. Luella Frederickson here.
Okay. Please make note, all present for a quorum. Now we'll go ahead and read the previous month's, our previous quarterly meeting minutes. Secretary.
We had a welcome by Chairman Gilbert, opening prayer by Henry Anderson in the Cree language. All present of the council. Special guest was Lisa Evers, acting director of the Indian Affairs. Minutes of the previous minutes were read and approved. The treasurer's report of $6,857.31 was in the bank at that time. Committee reports on enrollment. There were 25 newly enrolled members. Federal recognition, Chairman Gilbert and Vice Chairman Gray spoke of where we were at on that. Cultural, Richard spoke about the successful powwow. The 501c3 update was given by Leona. Health Committee, Carol Rummel was running the program, had a table set up and printed pamphlets. Terry Mahaffey, with the tobacco prevention program, also had a table and pamphlets. And she also had a booth set up at the fairgrounds during the powwow. The election committee of Caroline Curry, Joe Martinez, and Fran Flesh thanked the elders committee and presented them with plaques. Honor song by Kyle Spearson for outgoing Chairman John Gilbert. The tribal council put in their money and presented outgoing Chairman Gilbert and his wife Patty Caroline tickets to go to Las Vegas. There was a sale of the property at 1626 6th Avenue North to Good Grief Counseling, and in turn purchase of property at 1529 Stuckey Road, which is out in Hill 57. Members went out for a new building for a blessing and a tour. Acknowledgement of Patty Shields for a generous donation of $300 to the enrollment office. Clarence Severson auctioned off a nice picture donated by Mr. Ratty. There were various items donated for door prizes. We had, as always, our members were very generous in cooking a great potluck lunch. There were drawings for the Buffalo Hunt permits. There were 2, Ray Eklund and Luella Frederickson, for the lucky names drawn. Nicholas Verrumen gave a PowerPoint of his new book, The Whole Country Was One Road, the Little Shell Tribes America. We are very anxious to see and read this, and great music was provided by Galen Sinclair and his group.
Okay, got a motion to accept previous month's meeting. Got a motion by Nancy Severson, a second.
I second.
Second by Richard Pronto. All in favor? Motion to accept minutes. Now we'll move on to our treasurer report, Colleen Hill.
Okay, we've been working pretty diligently trying to get Tribe back on track financially. We've been working very diligently at getting the Tribe back on track financially, and we're getting it there. And we've gotten through most of the boxes and found most of the past financials and have everything gone through. into Leona for the 501, and all the stuff that we've taken over since last December is all current now. For income in 2012, we made, it wasn't 2012, this was for January. Our income was $9,640.19. Our expenses were $12,586.86. Our book revenue, we're hoping with that we were given 510 books to sell to our members. We can make a little over $20,000 income on that. We're just looking at our different options to bring revenue in so that we can get different programs and things going for our members. We're trying to do these other things because, as we all know, the government funding isn't real reliable. We're putting into place the accountability and checks and balances in every program for activities for Little Shell. All of our contractors that do different parts of things for us have all signed contracts to make sure that everything is in order. We have reports and the accounting sheets all in place. Everything that we do goes through the full council and has council approval before any expenditures are done. We are current with all of our bills. We are also in the progress of putting together a budget for the Little Shell so that we know what we have coming in, hoping to have coming in, and what we are looking to do in the future for our members. Once we can get that 501c approved, hopefully we got a letter and they'll let us know here soon which direction we're going. That will help us immensely with the expense side of things. We sent letters out to all of our vendors to let them know that only authorized people are allowed to represent the LST so that we don't have surprise bills come to us and don't know what's going on. Right now in our general checking account, we have $865. In our tobacco funding, we have $1,333. In our savings account, we have $20,102, which I'm doing everything I can not to touch at this point. For February, our rents are paid, and we still have $5,776 to pay. So we're going in the right direction. Thank you.
Treasurer's report.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Leona and a second by Luella. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Report passed. We're going to move on to me. I'm going to stand up. So this is a chairman's report. We've had a lot of exciting things happen in the last 2 months. We've been as a council since mid-November. And in that time, we've been to Helena a couple different times. We met with the governor and his team, the new governor, and also the outgoing governor. And we're going to meet with him again. He was supposed to be here this Thursday, Governor Bullock, but he had a scheduling conflict, so he'll be here next week. We'll meet with him. So I just want to let you guys know that we are. I mean, he's opened his arms to Indian country. We're going to see and try to hold him to the hold his feet to the fire, so to speak. When we first met with him, I just told him we want to be treated like every tribe in the state of Montana. We are no different. The only difference is with those 2 words, federally recognized. He said it doesn't make it any different. And he totally agreed with that and is on board. And that's why he started to make his visits out to all the tribes, including us. So also what we're going to do too, we just want to let all members know, and I hope we'll spread the word on this, is we're going to start a Little Shell computer community bank. And what we're going to have, we're starting with 8 computers, 8 to 10, and it'll be out at the Cultural Center. Up there we have the 2nd floor. If you haven't been out there, please go out there. Take a look at it. It's your cultural center, your visitor center. But up on the 2nd floor is a long table like this, and we want to get a computer set up so any members that don't have access to the internet, don't have a computer, computers on the blank, you can go there and check your emails or do whatever you research the internet, stuff like that. So please get out the word. We're gonna be doing that shortly. Also, we are going to be starting the newsletter again. And I'll let Colleen's going to talk about that here in a little bit, so I'll let her go ahead and cover that. We do have the wellness program with the Montana Wyoming Tribal Leaders Council, and so we talked to them quite a bit. And they also have a program, Tribal Health Coordinator, which they're not including the Little Shell. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. We have capable people here that can be our tribal health coordinator for this, in this area, and do the same things that all the other tribes are doing. So they agreed, and we were going to have a meeting with them on February 8th to discuss that and how we can start coordinating that with them and start getting some funding for that. Let's see. Also, the ICE funding. I don't know if you guys have followed that much. That was the Indian Country Economic Development Funds, which the Governor Schweitzer had in his budget, $800,000. And the tribes would go to him go to the legislator every year and ask for it, the $800,000. And we used that money this last year to help purchase the cultural center. Well, we went to Helena last week, and they cut it in half. So right now it's sitting at half. It'd be $400,000. I don't know what we would get out of that, but it still has to go through a lot of process. That was just the House side, House Financial Committee. It'll go to the Senate side. So you're in Helena. We need some help to, for all of Indian Country to say, you guys can't fund, or you can't cut this. This provides jobs in our communities. A lot of different tribes do it and handle their money in different ways. Of course, we bought that, to say we have some property. We're not landless. Let's see what else here. We are developing a new election ordinance to make sure that we don't have past problems again. And so that right now that's in the works. And it's going to be something that we can follow every time we have an election. It's going to be really basic, but it's going to be really thorough. And that our attorney, the Woodwards, are Donna and Troy are looking it over to make sure it's meets the legal standard or litmus test. Let's see, we are also looking into purchasing some flags. We've had a lot of requests for that. So we're looking into purchasing, probably start with about 25 to 35. And we'll make notice of when they're going to be available for sale. And also looking at developing some decals that we can sell, generate some small income. And Colleen, I think we'll be able to talk about that later too. So with that, I'll turn it over to our committee reports. First, federal recognition. So, as you all know, our bill, Senate Bill 546, was it was in Tester's hands, so to speak, no other way to say it. And then when they all got reelected and some new members came back, there was a lame duck session. They were going to try to put it on, and it made it onto what they call the hotline list, which they were going to try to get it passed during that lame duck session. But that didn't happen because of the fiscal cliff that they kept crying around back in DC about. So our bill sat there. Well, on the 28th, which was that Monday, Senator Tester introduced our bill again. So now it's called Senate Bill 161. And on Monday, they introduced it, and also Monday, it got referred to committee. So that's Committee of Indian Affairs. And I talked to his aide, a guy by the name of Mark Jetty, and I talked to him about once a week via email, about our bill, and he said that, I said, this has to go through the same committee that it came out of? He goes, yes, but it doesn't have to start fresh. He said, hopefully it'll move faster because it's already been pushed out of the committee twice. So it's like, okay, now we're going to go for a third time, and then again, we're going to be looking at, or they have to look at it in terms of attaching it as a rider on another bill that they think will pass. In all this, I've learned, like, wow, no wonder Washington DC is broken, because they cannot, it's really a good old boy system in that, you know, you do me a favor, I'll do you a favor. And so right now, with our bill, they're gonna talk to the senators from North Carolina, there's 2 of them, and look at combining our bill with the Lumbee bill, because the Lumbees are not federally recognized, and they've been fighting for that too. So we're gonna try to package it together to make it stronger and gain more support. So with that, that's where we're at. Oh, he did say, Jetty said, if you got, I mean, I'm throwing this out there to all members. We need the Republicans to start supporting this. We have Senator Barrazo in Wyoming. He's the first and foremost that'll say no. We don't want to recognize, we want their bill to go through the BIA, Office of Federal Acknowledgement, that whole system, that process. And he knows it's broken. And it's like, wait a minute. you know darn well that we should be recognized, but he wants it to go through that process. So we're hoping that everyone in this room writes Barrazo a letter saying, you know what, guys, it's about time. This has gone on long enough. You know the system's broken. Either get it fixed or recognize us. Pass our bill. So I'm throwing it out there for everyone. Write him, write all the Republicans sitting in the Indian Affairs Committee. You can get online and see who they are, what states they're from. We have a lot of support from the Democratic side, just to let you know. It's the Republican side that any kind of spending, and our bill, if it passes over a 16-year period, would cost about $8 million. You break that down, that's nothing. That's chump change to recognize us. And, so it's time. They don't want to spend anything, the Republicans. So it's a fight, a line in the sand. So please write letters. So with that, that's the update I have on the federal recognition. And I'll turn it over to the Enrollment Committee.
Good job, Gerald.
Thank you.
Well, I was hoping Pat Mackey could be here for the reply on the enrollment, but she had a board meeting elsewhere. At the moment, there's nobody enrolled today, but she is working on like 15 that are almost ready. And but the slowdown on it has been so many phone calls, people wanting to know what their IIM numbers are, which we do not have. But it's a process of talking to them, and it takes time. So anyhow, nobody enrolling today.
Okay. Cultural Committee report. Richard?
Rich, Gerald, Bijou, everybody. How's everybody doing? You getting hungry? Smell all that food out there? I'm getting hungry. On the cultural, I just wanted to point out a few things. This morning, when we pulled up with a truck and the horse trailer out there with all the teepee poles, Jeff at the Moose Lodge here looked at me and says, people have been calling and asking, are you guys building a new subdivision over there? So I said, you bet, Indian style. But that's something that we're going to start working on is every quarterly meeting that we have, we're going to have our cultural crew together and we're going to be working on stuff. Right now I got a couple guys, Robert Commutis, Logan Gobert, and my brother Steve Perano and a few others. A couple of them never put up a teepee before. And so we've got the equipment, we've got the supplies, so they're out there practicing and learning. So if you've got family members, friends, cousins, relatives, kids, anybody that wants to get involved with cultural activities, please let the tribal office know, and we'll definitely put them together, get them involved. I wanted to talk about the language grant. In the last 14 months, me and several other tribal members have worked together trying to put together a language grant through the Endangered Language Fund. Unfortunately, the 3 grants that we put in have all been denied. So, but we're continuing to work. Brenda Snyder is working on a lot of stuff with Métis cousins and the Michif language. I'm kind of looking at trying to bring back a little bit of the language, the Chippewa language, What we have done, a few of us, through help from Loud Thunder International, is we were able to transcribe Ojibwe words to English and vice versa. And we're working on a pamphlet that we'll have at the next quarterly meeting that we might sell for, $3 to $5, depending on what we can put together. Anybody that wants to take them home, it'd be kind of like a Head Start or a kindergarten type beginning where you can take them home and work with your 3-year-old or work with your 4 or 5-year-old and start teaching them words like bonjour means hello, or miigwech means thank you, or that type of thing. So some Michif words, Brenda's going to send some stuff that way. And if you guys know any people out there that are really good grant writers, please send them our way, because in a recent article that was in the newspaper, I really like that. I think Bonnie Stevens said a few good words in there, and I liked what Nicholas Fruman said. The struggle for our community is the proof of our community. And that's what we're going to continue to do from the cultural side of things, is to try to keep putting these things together and involve our people. People like Joel Overton, anybody who wants to get involved. So we'll continue to work on that. And later on today, if you take a look at, we've set up a display over here of past tribal members and volunteers that have been involved with the Little Shell Tribe over the past few decades. So please come up and look at these here pictures. And also we've got books up here. Of course, we've got the main book that we're all excited about today. That's why we're celebrating today. But there's other books up here that you might see in the cultural center in the bookstore. And if you have any ideas or any books that you think you might want to see up there in the bookstore, please write them down and pass it on to us, because we want to get a good collection up there for everybody. So to represent the Métis history, the Little Shell history. And basically, that's all I have. Very much.
Thanks. So now I'd like to introduce or have our committee report. We have a health committee. We have both the wellness committee, which Daryl Rummel runs, and our tobacco prevention program, which Katie Anton is runs. And I'm going to have these two ladies come up here and give a report on their programs. And just let me say, they have been doing an outstanding job for us. I'm really excited the way these two programs are moving forward. Montana Tribal Wyoming Leaders is excited about it, and also the state of Montana with our tobacco prevention. So these two ladies have been doing an outstanding job. Daryl?
Thank you. This is my new friend, Katie. And we do hope that we're just going to take a short time here, but I have been working on setting up a Little Shell Youth Council journey. And I attended a meeting in Billings, and the wellness initiative wanted us to get our youth together and do a journey. Well, life is a journey, but my ideas are a whole page long. So, there again, I can't do anything a little way. So what I'm going to do is pass these sheets out. I'd like you to look at them. What this program is to prevent the use of alcohol, drugs, and commercial tobacco by introducing health activities, traditional cultural ways for school-age youth. Now, to start out with this council, I would like to have only 8, unless I can get a lot of volunteers. I also have a list of things that, supplies that we will need. And I have a sign-up sheet for any youth that would be interested in attending this. If you have children, grandchildren, whatever, that would be interested in this, please let me know or bring this sheet into the office. I have other copies on the red table over there. And I think that's all for me right now. But a lot of this stuff will be at the Cultural Center also. Oh, another thing, the Landrys from Billings, Clyde has been one of our cultural spiritual leaders, and he called me this morning, and he has volunteered to come and to set up a sweat lodge on our property near our cultural center. His brother Mark has agreed to document it all on film, and we will also be showing that in the Cultural Center at a future date. If anyone wants to be interested in that, if you want to come and watch, if you want to take part, let me know. Or if you know the Landrys, let them know. Yes?
Do you have a date on that?
We don't at the moment because I'm still recruiting children, young youth, and I want them involved in this. I think we need to keep our youth involved, and I may not be in this program forever, but I would like it to go on forever. Okay?
Follow-up question. The youth group, is that going to be here in Great Falls?
To start with, it will be, but I would like to see it in every community.
Sure. And then is that going to be like an after-school program? Or is it a Saturday program? Or?
At this point, I don't know. It depends on the kids that we get recruited, what works best for them. To me, it doesn't matter. The camping, I would like to take them camping. I am fortunate to have a son that has property at Holland Lake. I have a daughter that has property at Sealy Lake. Clarence here has property at the Highwoods. And one of the things that I would like to see the kids do is a canoe journey on the river. I would like to have them take the teepees, set them up out at Craig, boat down the river, set up and take down the teepees again at one point along the river, and that will be our canoe journey. Now, if you know anything about the West Coast Indians, they do a canoe journey, and they come from Alaska to California to meet wherever the host tribe is at that particular year. It's awesome. It's all traditional. Anything else? Yes.
Mr. Rebel, Al Red Fox says he has some property on St. Mary's Lake, a very beautiful piece of property
Okay.
up on St. Mary's Lake on Blackfeet that you want to.
Let us use it for a couple days.
Yeah.
I will like to get your phone and address and whatnot, okay? Anyone else? Okay.
Hi, I am Katie Antonich. I am Clancy's daughter and Caroline's granddaughter and Colleen's aunt. I mean, she's my aunt. Anyway, I'm the tobacco prevention specialist. I have a display over here with information on the quit line, secondhand and third-hand smoke, which is a pretty big push right now. I went to a training in Folsom for 3 days here a week and a half ago. So I got to learn a lot about the culture. In the tobacco program, with all of the Indian tribes, are really trying to bring back that culture, to educate the youth on that, and try to give them something to occupy their time rather than getting started on tobacco, and to use tobacco in a sacred way like it was supposed to be, instead of commercial. So, along with Daryl, I am also looking for kids age 13 to 18 to join my group. I have a trip to Helena on the 11th of March that I would like to take maybe 3 or 5 kids with me, and we talked to the legislators there to try to keep our funding. Then I have, there's a gathering of Native American children that we'll be doing in Browning. That's all of the tribes in the state of Montana, so 7 tribes, and I'd like to take 5 to 8 kids with me up there. That'll be June 24th will be the travel day, and then the 25th, 26th, and 27th will be activities. We'll be, I think we're gonna stay at one of their lodges maybe in Browning. They haven't set it up for sure. We'll be there for 3 days and then come back. And then in August, the 6th through the 8th, we have a Smokeless Summit, which is a national conference in Missoula. So if you have kids that are interested or want to join that group, I would love to take some kids down there as well. There's also a REACT program that I will be working with the county on. And they would like to put a cultural component into their program. They do some TV ads and advertising on billboards and things. So if you have any kids that would be interested, please contact me. And I have an office in the Little Shell office here in town, so you can contact me there. And I am a registered nurse as well. So I can be a reference, and if you need any help with the quit line, I've got all the information, and I can sure help you get set up and started with that.
Thank you, Katie. Katie, just to let you all know, Katie, I'm with the Montana Tribal Wyoming Leaders council pushing to have her be our community health coordinator because she is a registered nurse, so that's hopefully our new health coordinator too. So up next is Leona. She's going to give you an update on our 501c3.
Well, I have been working on this 501 for a long, long time. I finally sent all the papers in December 31st. They were due December 31st. And hopefully we will know in 90 days if we're going to get the tax-free status back again or not. I sent in it was something like this, probably a little thicker than this. So when they go through all of this, then we will know in like 90 days if we get our tax-free status back. I think that's the reason why some of these grants we aren't getting some of these grants, because they can't write it off as tax-free. That's what the 501 is. It's a tax-free status for the tribes. And we have to fill out a form 1023, and that 1023 to get reinstated is pretty thick. So we're just waiting on that. There's a few problems that we might run into. One of them are the financials, because Colleen didn't have all the records for the financials. That is one of the problems that might stop us. And another one is we might have to pay the back taxes that weren't paid. But the annual report that kept us from getting the tax-free status, I already filed that. And it wasn't even due until April, but I got it done. So we got that out of the way, and we're just waiting to hear in 90 days. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Leona. Now I'll turn it over to Clarence on our visitor center. I'll give you an update.
Okay, has everybody been out there to see our cultural visitor center? If you went to the dedication prayer out there, it was all white. Thanks to some help, Carlene, Rose, and Rose's uncle put a bunch of paint on the walls, and it looks pretty nice. So thank them. James has been working out there. He isn't here today. He gave me kind of a brief as what he thinks we should do out there. We want to get this thing up and running by May when the tourism starts, because we'd like to get people to come and visit. We've got some, the state looks like they're going to put some signs out on the highways that are actually going to point the direction. So that's a positive, and they're working with us. The record keeping for the gift shop, we're trying to get that all set up, and there's artists that from around all over the state that have put items in there, and they just consign it to the gift shop at this point in time. So if you know any artists, or any of you are artists that want to put stuff in there, visit with us and we can go through that process. Right now they're trying to get all the materials together as far as the history, and I will say that I think with Nicholas's book being there, all we got to do is open up some pages, and that's one thing we'll visit with Nicholas about at some point. There's a lot of that stuff I think would be the best thing that we could put up in there to show the history. Just some of the, from what I've read in there, some of the pictures and just the layout would be fantastic for people to go in there and be able to look at that and get a quick brief, and then they can buy his book and read the whole history. So be plus two sides for the little shell. Okay, just like Daryl said earlier, the ICE grant, of course, right now they've cut it in half. That definitely helped us with our funding for out there and doing stuff, but we'll work through that. The application has been turned in, so it is there, and hopefully they'll get that. Maybe they'll rework it. I don't know if they'll do it or not, but put that money back in there, because Governor Schweitzer, you know, when we met with him, he flat said he was going to try to keep it at that level before he left office. And so we'll see if they can get that process corrected and keep it there like Governor Schweitzer. And I think the new governor's he's gonna work with it. It sounds like seems like a pretty good guy so far. Been positive. And also in the one room there, they want to do a documentary film where people could go in and actually sit down. And I know Nicholas had that PowerPoint. I don't know if everybody saw it when he was here the other meeting. If we can get part of that to show in that room, it would be fantastic. So right now, if you haven't been out there, it's starting to look pretty good, and we are looking at putting an addition on the building so that we'll be a little bigger and more useful if we have some meetings and some gatherings, if they get a sweat lodge and stuff out there, have a little more room to be able to do something. It's a nice building, but as the old saying goes, it just ain't big enough. Yes?
Where is it again? We're from Kalispell, so we know where it's at.
Oh, it's out at 1529 on Stuckey Road, right going up to Hill 57. You go out northwest bypass, and then just before that concrete business there's the Stuckey Road. And it's only like a quarter mile. Blue metal building on the right side. And we got some signage being made so that we can get that in place there. There's a cabinet on the building, but we've got a post with a big cabinet that we're going to put out right by the road so that you'll be able to see it for sure when you drive out there. Donnie's going to give a little deal on putting this project together with the addition onto that. And if I know Donnie Davis from over at Hellman, he does this kind of stuff, so I'm going to let him talk on it because I can pull cows and push cows around, but I think he better be the builder. So here he is.
Hi. We've been putting together numbers like everywhere. Our whole council, seriously, it's just been amazing to work with these guys. They just don't quit. So it gives me energy. And we're hoping we and Linda went to the ICE Council, talked to the people, and every tribe from the state was there. And hopefully, it'll go through, but they kind of looked at us with deaf ears. It was just kind of misfortunate, and then we left. Heather, I don't really know the lady, but she come out there and she just said, thank you. It was nice. We went to the governor's inauguration, which was very nice. We had our own seats, the Little Shell Tribe. Then that afternoon, we went to the reception. Well, 4 hours, we shook hands. And we were the only tribe that showed up there. It was unreal. Nobody would stand with us, and when we were done, everyone said thank you. So it was pretty neat. They talked about the book. Oh, yeah. About 10 minutes before it was all ending, I got in line, and Steve goes, "Way to go, Donnie." He says, "I'm stuck here for another half hour." I said, "I know, I don't want to miss the game." But it was good. We were the only tribe that stood up, and we told other tribes, "Why don't you guys?" And they said, "No." And believe it or not, I think it did help us, because they know we are all here, and they know about the book. And from then, hopefully they'll give us some money, and I can work farther on the contract to get people that we know. We've got good vendors that will come in and give us a good deal on all of our lumber. I've been out looking for people to do different things, like a full building, if that's cheaper. But I'll tell you what, everybody here's been helping me out, and it's pretty much easy. We really have. So thanks.
Yeah, I should probably back up a little bit. With the 2013 ICE money, what we're looking to do is put a big expansion out there so we can have our meetings there. We can rent it out for events, weddings, funerals, reunions, whatever, when it's not in use. So that was the plan for that, and hopefully it does get funded so we can have our own meeting place in the future. So with that, I'll move on to old business. Just to let everyone know, we did have tribal elections November 10th of 2012. And then we did have, after that, a swearing in on November 18th of 2012. So that is in the record books, and I would like to thank Joe Martinez and Fran Flush. There he is.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, you did. and Caroline Flory, yeah, big help, our election committee. Carlene was also part of that a little bit, and thank them all for the work well done. Give them a big hand. So then also some old business, we have, as I talked before, we are looking at redoing our constitution. As everybody has probably looked at that thing and thought, oh my God. So right now we're gonna set a date in the near future here to start we have to have a constitutional convention, meaning members have to be a part of it. It isn't something that this table up here does on their own, no way. We want everyone to be a part of it, have input, that way it's our constitution. So with that, just keep an eye on Facebook, emails. Fran does a really good job of sending out emails, notices, and letting people know. And also our attorneys, the Woodwards, are also setting up a judicial system. So we will have in the near future a court system. Troy and Don have been working on that. We had something in place for the election in case anything came up that was, pretty legally sound, just to say. So that was a good thing. And they're also working on that right now, so just to let you know. And now for new business. So we're going to announce our quarterly meeting dates for 2013. So we have, the next one will be May 18th. Everyone wants to write that down. And also, again, these will all be posted. We're going to be sending out a notice. Maybe we'll try to have something like we're doing today with the book signing with these meetings to make it kind of entertaining. Then the next one after that will be September 1st, 2013. And then after that, November 9th, and that'll be the Joe DeSoon Day celebration also. What's that? Okay. Yeah, that's a good point, Donnie. Next year, we did discuss this, and for the quarterly meetings, we are going to try to move them around the state again, just so more members can participate if possible. We're going to see how that works, just like they used to do. We think it's important to do that, and just because we are spread out. But anyway, then, like I said, keep an eye on Facebook. Also, the website, the Little Shell Tribe's website, we are in the process of updating that to make it a little bit more exciting and tell a little bit more about who we are. Right now, it's pretty stagnant. It's almost just like a one page, and it's not very good. So we are going to update that. Now I'll let Colleen talk about the newsletter that we're going to start up again.
Okay. I guess as the council, we've all discussed a lot of things and what's been done in the past and how they worked and different things. And anyways, some things we are putting back into order, some things we're revamping, some things we're making new. We want to do everything we can to make it the best as we can for our members. So one of the things we are re-implementing is the newsletter. And all the council will put together a little piece for it. Our tribal wellness Daryl, our tobacco specialist Katie, and nurse will all have parts in there. We want to make it as informational as possible for everybody. So anyways, we have a new form, and I'm going to have these out here. And this is how they used to do it, is they had the subscription form. Everybody paid a few dollars to have this information on a regular basis. We are hoping to have our first one out between April and May. And we're going to, if anyone has their own business or anything on that line that they'd like to advertise in it, Gerald would be the one to discuss that with. There's a portion on the bottom of this form for that also. I think they used to just take your business cards and copy them in there, So we're looking at all of our options in that direction. So if anybody has any suggestions or something they want to see in there or anything else, let us know. It's really important to get addresses current. And we get a lot of things back because we don't have current addresses, and we gotta figure out a way to get that updated and keep it updated, and most of that comes from our members. I mean, we don't know when you move. So if everybody just puts that out there to everybody on the word to let them know to get in current addresses. Another thing we're thinking about doing is having the members give us suggestions of what you would call our newsletter. I mean, we've had different things come up, but we want to see what all your ideas are. So if anybody has a bright idea of what they'd like to see as the name of our newsletter, email Gerald, ggray@lstribe.us. Other than that, I'll have these forms sitting up here. You can come up and sign up, and all of us as the council are going to be the first ones to sign up. So, thank you.
Thanks, Colin. Okay, so before we adjourn, I just want to see if there's any public comment. Is there anyone have any comments? Yes.
I live in Eureka, but just north of us in Canada is a Métis office, and there's a gentleman that does portrayals of native, well, he's a fur trader, but he connects with the native cultural things. There is in Cranbrook this end of this month, and I called and talked to the gal who's the head of it, and she said that they are having like Michif language presentation, and I'm not sure. It sounded like she liked Americans. They got a grant from Canada to do this, and it's a three-day time. It's like the 27th, 28th, and the 1st of March. And it's for ages from 10 to 24. And she says they've got dancers coming from, it's either Manitoba or Ottawa. Anyway, she said they are giving special presentations on the jig dance and the native combination dances that are done. They're doing that besides fiddle playing and all of that. So it's a 3-day weekend, and then adults are invited for one night when these dances are there. And it's being done at a, used to be a residential school. It's now called St. Eugene's Resort and Golf Center. So they turned it all into that. So that is where this is being done. And she just let me know yesterday, and she's supposed to send me an email so I can get with Daryl and give her that information. So that's an option. She said, yeah, if Americans want to come to this, that's just fine with them.
Okay.
Actually, she came down to the Lewistown gathering in last September. But that's one thing I wanted to ask, because we enjoy that gathering, but we are Little Shell.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a tearing last year. So I'm wondering about your meeting on September 1st. Is it the same weekend as Labor Day?
Yes.
Okay, so that's going to kind of.
Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah, that's a 3-day weekend, so we'll have a meeting on Sunday.
I guess I'm just wondering, so this is going to kind of be the same time as that again this year? I mean, I know that, when is the powwow, may I ask, for Little Shell? Here.
Richard?
You have a date yet, Richard?
I think we have to come to a general consensus on the exact dates, but yeah, I believe it's the last weekend of August, first weekend of September, the 31st and the 1st is what we're talking about.
Next year.
Yeah.
So it would combine with the quarterly meeting then too?
Yeah, the quarterly meeting would be on that Sunday of the
The
powwow
Sunday.
would be on Saturday, and then the quarterly meeting would be Sunday morning.
I see. Okay. Is
And
there,
then also with the event in Canada, if you want to send an email to us, we'll post that on Facebook so that everyone knows
Okay.
about it. And then also send out an email.
all right, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
I still can't believe that you guys are gonna have the powwow at the same time as Lewistown is. You know, they've been going there for 17 years, and then all of a sudden you guys started and wanna have it at the same time. Don't you think that you could get more people to yours if you have it a different time than Lewistown does?
All right, well, we'll take it under advisement, we'll definitely discuss it again.
And I feel the same way.
Okay,
you know.
all right, well,
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of them
I think there's a lot of people do.
okay. We'll definitely revisit that again before September. Definitely.
Even if it was a week, the next weekend or the weekend before. So when we come over, when we,
Right.
and so anyway.
Okay, we hear you loud and clear. We'll definitely revisit that, so, and let everybody know by the next quarterly meeting for sure. Any other questions? No? Okay, so, oh, we do have 50-50 back there. Bruce will be handing those out, and then also, what we want to do is, I guess, go ahead and adjourn, but before we're going to adjourn the meeting. What we're going to do is we're going to have, since we're community here, we're going to have a community round dance. One round dance song before we eat, okay? Everybody is going to come over there. It's the intertribal. Oh, I'm going too far now, sorry. Okay, so I have a motion to adjourn. A motion by Lola, second by Richard Hand. All in favor?
Right.
Okay, we adjourn. So if we can have everyone please come up here.
I got as far as I could on this shit. Okay, I'll let you take a look. Sheets in there, lineage. Yeah. And then I went and got copies of the birth certificate. I don't like these new style birth certificates. They don't really say much. So I had them pulled.
Yours getting long too.
See, that's the new style, but they did have a copy of
Yeah, I know.
the old style.
Yeah. My grandfather was a half-breed.
Yeah, that's what my original one said I was.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't find my original, and they don't have it anymore. And then there's a check in there for $5.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll go through it.
Yeah, I put my phone numbers on there if you have any questions.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Fran.
Yeah. Hi. I run out of wind. How you doing?
Pretty good. I didn't see my brother here today.
All tribal members have gone on the buffalo hunts they've shot in the recent past, and they've donated these buffalo robes to the tribal office. This one here in particular is it's already been tanned, so it's ready to go. But it's an honor for us to honor Mr. Vrooman on this here great day that this here book come out. So here is a buffalo robe from the Moose Jaw tribe of Chippewa Indians to you, Mr. Vrooman. Thank you very much. Thank you. Tribal Council. Donnie?
Yeah, we do.
I think I've got a voice that bellows. The Bishiki, the buffalo, somehow has, I've eaten a lot of it, and I think my bellowing voice is something that, one of the benefits of eating buffalo for me. I'm so pleased to be here with you today. You don't know, there's not another place on the face of the earth that I'd rather be than with the Little Shell tribe at the Moose Lodge in Black Eagle, Montana. Now, isn't that, there's a line of words, names, right? Little Shell tribe, Moose Lodge, Black Eagle, Montana. Now, that puts us right here in this incredible place. This is your homeland, and you're still here. After incredible resistance, incredible oppression, you folks have more courage than most Americans have any idea about. That you still survive in the 21st century after what you people have been through. It's absolutely incredible. I want to say just a few words about what this project has been about and a little bit about the book, what you're going to find when you get into it. I first have to say that for as much as you people have suffered the oppression of a dominant society that's misunderstood you for well over 100 years, and that you're still caught in the struggle for being recognized for your basic human rights as Aboriginal peoples of North America, that it's almost to the point now where it's just so ludicrous that you don't have the federal recognition that is yours. You're not asking for anything. It is already yours. You just want people and the federal government to recognize what your rights already are. You're not asking for rights. But anyhow, you live in this place, this Montana here, that is just astounding for all the problems that dominant society has incurred upon the Aboriginal people during the Reconfiguration period of the 19th century, all through the 20th century. You know what your ancestors have been through that allows you to be here today, and all the rest of your extended families, for all the problems that have been there. The fact of the matter is, Montana has had to live with Indians. They couldn't wipe you out. They're still here. You're still here. The reservations are still here. Your just desserts will come. But the fact of the matter is, Montana's had to learn to live with you. And you're not going anywhere. And it has become realized within the broader society that they've got to deal with their neighbors, the first peoples here, of whom you are related to, all of the reservation-based tribes and nations in this state and on the Northern Plains and in the Columbia Plateau and across the prairie provinces of Canada. You know what your family relationships are. But finally, the state has coming to it, and it really has happened through the Indian Education for All work that was mandated through a Supreme Court case that went to the Supreme Court based on the constitutional need for the state government to equitably deal with all Indians in the state. And out of that came Indian Education for All, and out of that came this tribal book project, where the legislature in 2007 allocated money to each one of the 7 reservations. Here we get the story of the Little Shell coming through, and they got all this money, $200,000 each, to write their own history in their own ways. But wait a second, where's the Little Shell? Forgotten once again. Another bill had to go through to allocate special monies for your people, so that you had the resources to write your history the way you wanted it spoken. And I had just come from, I got to tell you, I was given your story as a young man. I was just a ranch hand on a ranch over in the Blackfoot Ovanda Creek Valley over in Helmville, and I was in my young 20s, and the ramrod on the ranch I worked on was this guy named Snowball Doney. You understand what I'm saying? He was the #1 cowboy in the country, and I learned how to be a man from that guy. And we'd sit out there, draw a knife in our rails for the jacklegs and everything, and he'd be telling me your story. And it got into me just at the right age, where I realized this was a piece of American history that it was a concealed piece of American history. And we don't know the truth about who we are until we reconcile the whole truth of who we are. And you folks got left out. Anyhow, I've been friends with you. I look at Al and Elaine back there. I look at Bonnie. I've got friends all across this room here and all across the state who are your relatives and who I've met over the years that I've been on this story. Well, anyhow, back in 2009, 2010, when those monies became available through OPI to write tribal histories, then Chairman John Sinclair and Russell Boehm, your administrative director at that time, asked me if I would come in and help them write and produce for the tribe this story. So for the last 2.5 years, I've given my life to this book. And I've known that that all the pieces hadn't been told for all the federal recognition petitions that have happened over the last 30-some years now and not come through, that the anthropologists, as good of work as they had done, still were missing some of the pieces. And I thought I knew what some of these pieces were because I've lived among you, and I've worked with you, and I lived over on the Turtle Mountain Reservation, and I spent time in Rocky Boy, and I know that you're all the same people. And you're related to all those folks just north of the border. All these Chippewa Crees, the Assiniboines, Michif, the Métis folks. You're all part of this special new culture that evolved during the 19th century, the early 19th century. Anyhow, so we went and we double-checked and triple-checked and went into primary sources that have never been available, but now because of the digital world, we have access to primary sources we never had before. And we got deeper into the record and found the letters and found the notes and found the minutes of meetings, and as well as because I know you folks and you've offered me your family photographs, and I've gone into all the archives across Canada and the United States that have historical documentation of your history. And we compiled that, put it all together, and really, for the first time, and it's really taken this long in a sense, because so much of your history has been, pieces of it over here, pieces of it in Washington, pieces of it up in Regina or Saskatoon, pieces of it in Winnipeg or in Bismarck, and all over. But now we've been able to bring all of this together and write a consistent, cohesive chronology about your history. And it's just absolutely magnificent. Now you'll find when you look at it, this book was written really with 3 different audiences in mind. It's a huge book. I just didn't know whenever the resources were going to be available again to do something of this significance for your people. And it had to be done with high quality. It really had to have the kind of production value attached to it that people couldn't look at it and just sort of toss it to the side. It had to be really credible. It had to come out with a credible publisher and in a distribution system that got it out in the Borders and the Hastings and the bookstores out there so the general public had access to it. But really, it's got 3 audiences. It's first of all primarily for you, so that you've got all the facts, all the documents that substantiate everything that your parents and grandparents have been telling you over all the years, everything that you need to tell your children and your grandchildren about who you are and where you come from. So that's in there. It's a consistent, broad-based, cohesive history of. And you're going to see some things in here you'll learn for the first time, or you won't necessarily recognize, and it'll take time to sink in and think about it. And I'm not the only guy. There's more histories to be written on your people. I just took one big chunk and tried to put together the skeleton of your history. And there's many different books that need to be written and projects about who you are and where you come from. The book is also written for scholars, because this stuff needs to be dealt with by college students and graduate students and academics. They need to put you in relationship to the Assiniboine, to the Cree, to the Blackfeet, to the Cheyenne, the Crow. You're related to all these people. All the Salish, Kootenai, Pend Oreille, you're related to them too. So this is something that also is thoroughly documented and substantiated, so that when scholars look at it, it's going to be irrefutable. They may question some of my interpretation, but they can't refute the history that's put across. And then it's also for the government as a document, because I line out through the book all the places that the government has used to deny you of your federal recognition, of your inherent Aboriginal rights. And the cases, and I point out when the government said this, and when they changed their tune and said this. Who was the person and what was the administration that promised this, and when all of a sudden those promises were negated. So all of that is in there also, so that it becomes right here. I mean, before now, your history has been in files in lawyers' offices. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody's really had access to your history before. It's not been public. I've taken all that information and all those files, all those legal proceedings and everything, and utilized that as primary source for this also. So you'll see a book that is a large book, and it's, you know, and maybe a historian at the university would say, the quotes are too long. Well, I put those in there on purpose because no one's going to be able to go back to the original source as a historian and look at the original source and get to read the whole quote. So this is, you know, so I have it in there for you, not for them. And so it's a serious book, and you're not going to just pick it up and read through it. You know, it's going to take a while to get through it, but you know, just, you know, bite off a little bit at a time and work your way through it. It'll make a difference. And I guess I want to say that I've really come out of the experience a better person for knowing you. And I'm more radicalized than I've ever been, because I'm so pissed off. And I gotta say, you know, it's no more time mincing words. You know, what the government has done is criminal, because they know who you are. And their negligence, really, if anybody else was to commit the negligence that they have concerning the lives of all of you and your families, is just outrageous. And I think it's time that Montana as a whole, it's time that you, that the rest of Montana got behind you and really pressured the federal government as a Montana society, as a matter of states' rights, about your deserved federal recognition for your Aboriginal rights. But really what I'm left with is how magnificent and how courageous and how epic your story is. It's not just a little leftover story, local story in Montana about some malcontent people who claim they're Indian. It's not that at all. It's really the story. And the reason Americans don't know about this story is because maybe it's a little bit too powerful. Because your story is really about what the U.S. and Canada did in defining the border and saying this is ours and that's yours between these two Anglo governments. And basically, they committed over a number of years in the late 19th century what in Scotland in the mid-1700s, you know, Braveheart and all that time and stuff, they called them the clearances, and they took all the Scottish crofters out off their land and stuff. Well, in modern day language, they call it ethnic cleansing. And that's what happened to your people, because you lived along the border, and the military came through and just cleared you out and burnt your villages to the ground and burnt all your goods, and just incredible devastation upon you that forced you into a kind of a poverty. You were rich people once. You were the richest people on the plains as Aboriginal people. And they forced you into a poverty you're still working to recover from today. And they still are trying to deny you of your Aboriginal rights. Anyhow, so what I come out of it is, I can't believe how strong and courageous you people are. I can't believe that you have such tenacity that you're still pushing the federal government to fess up and recognize the mistake that they made. And I just got to say, you've got a great government here. You can test each other. That's great democracy. You're so believing in who you are and the rightness of your plight that you fight for it. And you're still alive and thriving and getting stronger all the time. My hope is that this book will serve you well, and it's something that you can hold and give to people and say, there's no denying this any longer. And I have to thank you very, very much for allowing me in to work with you and to know you, and we share. Now your story is part of my story is part of your story, and we'll go on, and we're going to see some magnificent things for your people. And I'm so proud to know you all. And let's sign some books. Well, let me just grab something to sip on first.